Michael Myers was just 6 years old, he stabbed his sister to death. He was locked up for years in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, but he escaped. Soon after, Halloween became another word for mayhem. One by one, he killed his entire family. All the while, the Brothers Blanchard told us all about it. 1 year ago, Halloween night, Matthew and Patrick vanished. Most people believe them dead, but I believe someone hid them away. Someone who keeps Michael, protects him, tries to control him. If there's one thing I know, you can't control evil. You can lock it up, burn it, and bury it, and pray that it dies, but it never will. It just rests a while. You can lock your doors and say your prayers, but the evil is out there, waiting. And maybe, just maybe, it's closer than you think.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare, the exclusive Ark of E podcast devoted to the Halloween franchise. We're back with you. I am one half of the Brothers Blanchard, Matthew J. Blanchard. With me, as always, is...
the other half, Patrick J. Blanchard.
We're those brothers who do that crazy thing where we pay the late fees so you don't have to, and we've been doing this across multiple horror franchises. We did the Friday the 13th franchise. We did Nightmare on Elm Street. We did Scream. We did...
Hatchet,
The Evil Deads. And we did almost the entirety of the Halloween franchise. Almost.
We did the entirety of the Halloween franchise that was available in home media at the time.
That is correct. Excuse me. We even did a special episode, a special live, sort of, live by videotape episode with the Blanchard brothers, in which we all went out and saw the movie, the 2018 Halloween last year. We watched it, we talked about it, some hot takes, came back a couple days later and talked about it again.
Yep.
But it was still very much... You went and saw it, you had your hot takes, you brought them back. If you saw it a second time, maybe you had some hotter hot takes. But you didn't have, the ability to pause something and rewind and give it the kind of deep dive treatment that we had given everything in the rest of the franchise in the previous episodes of Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare. So we are back, folks, to talk about David Gordon Green's 2018 film,
Halloween.
Hate-teen.
Hollow Green.
No, that's copywritten. I was about to say Howlow Scream, but I don't want to get sued by Busch Gardens.
No.
Free plug, Busch Gardens. Please don't sue. So, so we have followed Laurie Strode and Michael Myers without Laurie Strode through multiple iterations of this franchise.
Yes.
And if you look around, I guarantee you'll find somewhere a conversation where we talked about what could happen in the forthcoming Hate-teen when we talked about that in 2017.
That is true, yes.
In the first ARKTOBER.
Yep.
All right, now we're in the third ARKTOBER. And I feel like we have contributed very little to ARKTOBER this year.
We have. Well, it was a difficult September. It
wasn't difficult. It was just busy.
Well,
I wouldn't call it
difficult and busy. They're synonymous in my head.
Okay. Well, I would prefer to not think of it as difficult because
they were busy. Yes. I bought a car. I was negotiating hardcore in a bank all day.
Right.
But could not record at all. I came out 40 pounds lighter.
No, yeah,
No, I came out 40 pounds lighter. That's what we're saying. That's the story. Stick to it.
40 pounds of money.
Yes, I lost 40 pounds of money.
I believe that. And I, the following weekend, got married. So obviously we had a lot going on in September, but still, we're here. We're doing our part. We're bringing it home.
We are. We
with
are.
Halloween 2018.
And it'd be really nice if we were bringing it home, but there's going to be 2 more.
Well, we will talk about some of our expectations about those movies and our thoughts about those movies at the end of this. And eventually, we'll come back and record episode... God, what is this?
This is the...
This is the 11th?
11th
this is
movie.
11th. So this is episode 11. This is episode 12 because we did the producer's cut. 2.
Yes.
The producer's cut of Halloween 6. So this is episode 12. Eventually we'll come back and we'll do unlucky number 13 for Halloween Kills. And then unlucky number 14 for Halloween Ends. Which
I know.
maybe will actually be the end of the franchise.
I just find it funny that Halloween's going to hit 13 before Friday the 13th does.
Oh, who knows? If this lawsuit gets set... Well, we've talked a lot about the lawsuit on the podcast. But if the lawsuit were to get settled...
It would have to be a quick turnaround.
It would. But you never know.
Yeah.
It could happen. They could film 2 back to back.
They could. Like Halloween
Right.
is doing currently. Sort of.
Exactly.
Like-
Because, yeah. Either way, could happen. So,
Yeah.
but here we are. We're talking about Halloween 2018.
I really wish it had a different name.
Me too. That's why I like calling it Hate-Teen.
That's why I like calling it Hollow Green.
So the first thing that we need to note about this movie is that going into it, all of your previous Halloween knowledge is pretty much useless.
Yep.
Except for having anything you took away from watching John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978.
That is a true statement. However,
So it would seem.
Yeah.
Based on what we were told.
yes, that is the cause of my stutter and pause there, folks, because that is what we were told.
This is exactly what we're told. So basically the idea, the premise here is that the franchise, as you know it, is wiped away. It's gone. Instead is a simpler franchise where the only movie that counts is Halloween. Halloween 2 didn't happen.
Yes.
4 didn't happen. 5 didn't happen. 6 didn't happen. H2O didn't happen. Resurrection didn't happen. And the Rob Zombie movies sure as fuck didn't happen.
Yes.
This, of course, sounds very familiar. This is what Halloween does every couple of years. Halloween H2O did the exact same thing. Halloween H2O jettisoned 4, 5, and 6. And removed that storyline and those characters. This did away with those characters who had previously been jettisoned and the ones who replaced them.
Yep.
And the ones who rebooted them. So yes, if you want to see, you now have effectively 3 different versions of Laurie Strode. If you want to see a Laurie Strode who survives the night of Halloween, both parts, 1 and 2, and then goes on with her life and nothing else ever happens to her, you have Halloween 1 and 2.
Yep.
If you want a franchise where she has a child and then she dies and that child continues her legacy, you have Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, and Halloween 6. If you want one where she fakes her death and becomes a school teacher, you've got Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O. If you want a franchise where she has a cell phone in high school, you've got Rob Zombie's Halloween
and Halloween 2.
Exactly. And of course, if you want a version where she's not related to Michael Myers at all, they're not brother and sister so far.
Because somebody might be right and got stuck and had a 6er.
Right? It's what happened last time. If that's the version you want, well then, here you go. So, without further ado, let's just kind of dive right in. So, yeah.
If you listen to some previous comments made about this movie, I enjoyed it.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to talk about all of our thoughts and opinions after we do the sort of plot summary. So that's how we structured these episodes before. We'll talk about the making of after. We'll talk about all that stuff, and then we'll hit you with our thoughts, which we did a bad job of not previewing them before we got into it before. So why not here too?
Yeah.
It's conflicted. I'm very conflicted about this movie, and we'll talk about it.
Yep.
So, the first thing that happens, the very first thing that you see, are orange credits.
Yes.
Just like the ones you saw in 1978 and 1981.
Yep.
It immediately hits that nostalgia button and goes, "Hey, this is Halloween. Remember Halloween? Halloween's cool. Look at this font here. Look at this orange. They're new. They're orange. Let's go ahead and do this."
Now I want to watch Josie and the Pussycats.
Well, it's a better movie. So yes, we get this sort of orange title cards, and then we launch into a sequence set at Smith's Grove Sanitarium.
Yep.
Where we're introduced to Dr. Sartain and Aaron and Dana, the two podcasters, who kind of get the ball rolling on this movie.
Yeah.
Aaron and Dana are doing sort of a murder podcast about the babysitter killings. That's what they're known as. When Michael escaped from Smith's Grove in 1978 and killed Laurie's friends in the events of Halloween. So Aaron is this British guy who, in the trailers, there's lots of speculation. Is he the new Loomis? No. Dr. Sartain is the new Loomis. Literally. He is Dr. Loomis's student.
Yep.
Who lobbied the state of Illinois to become the ward of Michael Myers and work with him at Smith's Grove to carry on Dr. Loomis's work. And he's allowing these two podcasters access to Michael Myers before Michael Myers is transferred to another federal penitentiary. And they keep Michael Myers and all the other really, dangerous psychopaths chained up to big concrete blocks out on a checkerboard.
I think that's just for their daytime fun. Because Sartain says, well, in our facility they get outside time, when the new facility is not going to have this apparently. So I think this is their, it's like when the preschoolers get to go out to the playground.
See, what I took away from that is that being chained to the rock is their outside fun.
Yeah.
So
So they have their cages, man.
Yeah.
I mean, not cages. whatever they are kept in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, which is way out of date. And if they're going to a bad facility, oh my God! Because Smith's Groves, did you see the computers when they came in?
Oh,
like
yeah.
This is outdated. This is not a shining example of the mental health system.
No. What I do kind of like about it though is, if this new place is so horrible and Smith's Grove is so good, God, must that place be terrible, because this is a place where they literally just chain you to a rock.
For your outside time.
You just chain to a rock. Like, okay, have a good day.
It is.
I hope you don't mind the rock. What we effectively get, though, is this sequence where the checkerboard floor of the Citadel,
Yes.
in South Carolina, is used to kind of create a grid pattern that lets you know how close you can get
Yeah.
to the inmate. So you know that you can't get but so close to Michael Myers, because he has this. It's a Dungeons and Dragons 5-foot square.
Really.
Really, and you can't step outside of your 5-foot square, or you're in his reach, and he gets an attack of opportunity. which for my D&D friends is a hilarious joke.
It really is.
And very accurate. So Aaron gets up close to Michael, and he's trying to get him to answer questions, to respond to him. And he pulls something out of his bag. He said, I got this from a friend in the Attorney General's office. And what he pulls out of his bag is nothing other than Michael Myers' mask from 1978.
Yeah.
And we get this moment where the other inmates, who are all very clearly dangerous people, they're all chained up like Michael, they're all disturbed in some way.
Yeah.
They all start reacting in terror at just this rubber mask hanging in the air. Like, they understand that that's the real Michael Myers right there. That the thing that's been standing with them is scary, but that's really scary.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a riff on the opening scene of Halloween Resurrection. With that the serial killer fanboy who was stalking Michael through that sanitarium that Laurie was at. You kind of get a riff on that, and it's a little bit more mature than that version.
Yes.
It's not as on the nose. But it's basically that same premise of Michael is the worst of them. And there's something truly evil about him, and even, the most evil amongst us can recognize it.
Yeah.
But the main thing that Aaron's trying to do is to get Michael to say something. Which is the theme of this fucking movie. This idea of people trying to get Michael to talk. Okay. So Aaron is screaming at him, say something, say something. And then, all the other inmates are freaking out. It's building to a nice crescendo with one last scream of say something, and then the Halloween theme.
Yep.
And a pumpkin credit sequence. And this was the moment where I was like, I am in. Because that is a smashed pumpkin that is slowly reinflating.
Yes.
This is genius. It's a beautiful image. It's, hey, that thing that we destroyed, we are putting it back together right in front of you. That's a metaphor for what we want this movie to be. Did the movie live up to that imagery? No, not in my opinion. But it's a neat idea. And honestly, if we had like a commercial or a visual advertisement for this podcast, that's exactly what I would use.
Yeah.
Because, we've been gone for a year. I would have that pumpkin reinflating. Like, that's perfect. But, and it's, it's the exact, it's not exact, but it's very close to the imagery of the carved pumpkin from John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah.
Except for the left eye, which as you zoom in on the left eye, there's always been sort of a subtle knife imagery in the nose on the carved version.
Yeah.
Here, the left eye above that nose with that very overt knife is very subtly textured so that it looks like Michael's face.
Okay.
Which the other one, the 1978 version, was not.
Correct.
This one is. So it's just a subtle change to the silhouette of that eye. It looks a little different, but I don't know how many people noticed it, and I don't know how many people don't notice it. It's one of those. It's one of those blink and you miss it moments.
And it's not a CGI pumpkin.
Nope. It's a time lapse.
Yeah.
Of a candle burning a pumpkin, and then played in reverse.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. And I'm in. Those credits are great. Cool. Very cool. And then we smash out of that, and we're back with our podcasters who are riding in their car. They're setting up for their next interview, and their next interview is taking them to an industrial fucking security gate.
In the middle
of
of the
fucking
woods.
Nowhere, yes. And we find out very quickly that on the other side of that gate is Laurie Strode.
Yes.
Laurie Strode now lives behind an industrial security gate in a fucking compound with floodlights everywhere. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep.
So the podcasters want to interview Lori. And the only way that is going to happen is if Lori takes an inducement of some money. Otherwise, she will not speak with them.
Yes. Dana is the pragmatic podcaster.
Yes. Well, she's
An investigative journalist.
You get the idea that she's kind of the producer.
Yeah.
She's the person who makes it happen, and Aaron is the air quotes talent.
I like journalists don't pay for interviews, and she's all like, "No, we're
Yeah, we absolutely
we
do. That's how you get someone like this Laurie Strode lady to fucking talk to you. She's been a recluse for 40 years.
I'm sorry, it's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
Since I studied journalism a little bit in college, it's just this whole thing just cracks me up.
Right.
Because it's so on the nose.
So for $3,000, Aaron and Dana get a very contentious interview with Laurie Strode, in which they talk about her thoughts on Michael Myers 40 years later, the idea that Michael Myers is being moved from one facility to another, whether or not there needs to be any sort of understanding or sympathy of Michael Myers. And Laurie has, sort of the most... This is one of the few moments in this movie where she will have the most human reaction to the event. Usually that's not the case as we move forward. But here she's like, he killed 5 people.
Yes.
He needs our sympathy?
Yeah.
Come on. Those were 5 lives that ended. And I think the reason that this is where Laurie is at her most human is because this is the only moment where Laurie is directly responding to something that happened before Michael Myers.
Yes.
Like, she's not talking about 5 random people. She's talking about Linda and Annie and Bob and people she knew.
Yeah.
It's the one time in the movie where she's not focusing on something that is purely aftermath. Like, there's a connection to the 17-year-old girl she was in 1978. Which, if you're going for a character study of somebody who is absolutely broken by an event, I think that works. I don't know that characterization works overall in the movie we got. But that's a conversation for the end after we've walked through the entire thing.
There is another moment where you get the same effect, but it's completely unrelated to Michael Myers and anything.
Yeah.
And when we get there, I'll bring that one up because it dovetails.
It does. I think another one you're talking about. So they talk about that, and then Dana brings up this whole incident where Child Protective Services came and took Laurie's daughter away from her. Laurie has a daughter again, not a son. Ooh. Is it Jamie Lloyd? No, it's Karen Strode. Okay. Is it Danielle Harris? No, it's Judy Greer.
Yeah.
I like Judy Greer. Don't get me wrong. I love Judy Greer. She's hilarious. I would have liked a serious actress in this role, and I think this is one of those times where it would have been warranted to just, okay, it's an alternate story, sure. Maybe it is Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the moment where we can finally take those 2 halves of the franchise and put them together.
There were a lot of people online who were looking for that.
Yeah. But we'll never get it, folks. Jamie Lloyd and Laurie Strode shall never meet. Her mom just died. That's just how it is. She's going to go get ice cream, and she's going to hang out with her new sister Rachel. And, they're going to hang out with the dog Sunday, and everything's great. Till Michael shows.
2 scoops.
2 scoops. Sorry, we're talking about a superior film, which is sad to say that a 1988 low-budge Halloween 4 is somehow still superior to this. So then she chafes at the idea that her child was taken away, and she's like, okay, interview's over, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
And we cut to her daughter's house, where we see Ray and Karen and their daughter Allison having a sort of morning of punchy domesticity with wonderful morning banter on October 30th. And if you're feeling that this is shades of the Strodes having their punchy morning banter in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, it is. It exactly is.
Yeah.
It's the same. There are a lot of moments throughout this where people who are critical of Rob Zombie follow the Rob Zombie formula. They just don't grime it up.
Yeah.
It's a very similar movie. They have very similar tones, though not visual styles.
Correct.
So Ray is sort of this walking calamity of a person who's constantly screwing around. The mom is far too serious. And Allison she just wants to know her grandma. She doesn't understand. Why isn't grandma invited to these things? Did you invite her to this? And then Karen's like, I did. She'll be there. Which is a lie, because Karen's not inviting Laurie Strode to fucking anything.
Yeah.
Karen Strode's like, I'm done with that bitch. And when you find out later on what happened, you're like, yeah, I understand. I wouldn't want to hang out with her either. So we get this sort of wonderful domesticity, and then Allison's friend Vicky shows up, and Vicky, Allison, and Dave, they walk to school. And it's shades of Danielle Harris, and I can't remember her name, and Scout Taylor Compton walking to school.
Christina Klebe.
There we go. The actress from Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. Whose name I forget.
Christina Klebe.
Yeah, Linda Part 2. Not the good Linda. Who, as we all know, is PJ Souls. That's, if anybody was curious, good Linda is PJ Souls.
Yeah.
So they're walking to school, and we get this big info dump about Halloween. We get a retelling of 1978 that kind of lays out the boundaries of the timeline for us. Because that needs to happen for this movie to make sense. They need to be like, all right, so, this is how much of the story really happened. We find out that Halloween 2 doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There was a cop who caught Michael at the Doyle house.
Well, we
stopped, and we find out later that person stopped Dr. Loomis from finishing Michael off that night. And there's specific deference paid to the brother-sister storyline when the question is asked, well, aren't they brother and sister? No, that's just something someone made up.
Yeah.
So we touch on it, and we hang a lantern on it, and we shove it off into the sea, never to be discussed again.
And we have a beautiful commentary on Halloween in the next sentence.
Yeah, sure.
But is it really a big deal? I mean, 5 people got murdered by one guy with a knife. With what's going on in today's world, and that's literally the line, guys.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Is this really a thing? And
I'm not going to argue that they don't couch some really good commentary.
Oh, yeah.
In this effectively, broadly informational scene. But at the same time, I could have lived without it. There are other ways we could have gotten to that info and gotten that same commentary. There's a lot of that in this movie where you get this sort of metatextual commentary that's right on the money for the genre and for the times, but it's married to something that falls a little flat. So it's kind of an ongoing premise of this movie. I don't even want to call it a theme. It's the premise. Here's modern commentary using this trope from before.
Well, I also, and just not to completely derail it just for a second, wonder if it has to do with the previous genre writings of the people who wrote this, not being horror genre, but primarily from a comedic or dramatic nature.
That's entirely possible.
Whereas a signpost, like I just said, in a drama plays brilliantly.
Right.
And works. Whereas in a horror, it specifically stands out.
Yeah.
And may or may not work. That's right, folks. This was written by David Gordon Green, and my mind just exploded.
Oh my God! Did you just lose it? Danny
yes,
McBride.
Danny McBride.
How do you lose Danny McBride?
I have no idea. And a buddy of mine from college was his stunt double.
In Halloween?
Not in Halloween.
Oh wait, because Danny's not in it.
In the TV show, the East.
Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down.
I was like, the TV show. Which one? Eastbound and Down. Vice Principals.
The first one, Eastbound and Down.
The Righteous Gemstones.
The first one.
Right. The first one. Okay, so we get this extended info dump about 78 Halloween, Michael Laurie, every blah, blah, blah. And then we're at school where we're introduced to Allison's boyfriend, Cameron Elam, who is the son of Lonnie Elam, who, if you have forgotten him from Halloween, was told to get his ass away from there by Dr. Sam Loomis when he was trying to go up to the Myers house in 1978. So Laurie Strode's daughter is the granddaughter is dating the son of one of the kids who tormented little Tommy Doyle.
Yeah.
And they're talking about that coming evening where they're going to go to Allison's induction to the National Honor Society, and then they're going to meet up with their parents, her parents, so that he can meet the parents, and he's a little worried about that because they're a little old-fashioned. And that's when Oscar shows up. Oscar, who, if this was a couple years ago, would have been played by a different actor. And if it was a couple years before that, it would have been a different actor entirely. This movie was made in 1998. If this was Halloween H2O, it would have been Dash Mihawk.
I don't know. I mean,
I think it would have. Yep.
It'd
It would have been a very different take on him, but I think it would have been Dash.
Yeah.
And
Compelling young cast.
right, hip young cast. And a couple years later, it would be oh my God, I lost his name. Foggy Nelson from Daredevil.
Elton Henson.
Yeah, it'd have been Elton. The kid looks like Elton.
Which is
He
really,
should play a young Elton.
which is really funny, because going back to when it had been Dash Mihawk, it also could have been him.
Right.
Because
It's right around that same time.
Well,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
it's 98, it might have been Dash. If it's 2000, it's definitely Elton.
Yeah.
Like there's a very fine line, and on either side of it, it's those two actors, and this kid looks like a synthesis of both of them.
kind of, yeah.
It's really creepy when you start to see other faces resemble faces in Hollywood. It's always a little weird. Like, I know that. No. Yeah. So yeah, these teens are normal. Can't you see? They're having fun teen time.
In the hallway of the
Yeah.
school. I'm familiar with
Just
that.
like you did when you were in high school.
I know, I did. I had fun
It's
times.
real, and they're funny. Witty banter.
Oddly enough, it's one of the moments I like more in the movie because it's like I care less about the horror element sometimes.
Right. So immediately after that, we go into our first real pastiche from Halloween. There are a lot of these that are some of them are very expertly done, and some of them are very subtly done, and you don't even see them. But this is one that just, here it is. We're going to duplicate the scene exactly. We have a shot of a classroom at Haddonfield High School. Sitting at the back of the room is a student. Oh, wait, it's Allison. She's in this back row. She's paying attention. while everyone else kind of isn't. And the teacher's droning on, and we're pushing back. And that teacher is talking about fate. Just like 1978 with Laurie at the back of the room and a disembodied voice talking about fate. The difference is, well, first I want to commend them because they duplicated that classroom very, very well.
Yeah.
They built their set to match. They did a lot of matching sets.
I mean, it doesn't look like a modern classroom at all.
It doesn't look like a modern classroom, and it looks like the classroom from Halloween. Exactly. Like, I would not be... If I didn't know that this movie had shot in South Carolina, I would suspect that it had shot in the South Pasadena High School where they shot that room before. I would have guessed. Because it looks like the same room.
Yeah.
And then they cut to the window, and instead of Michael watching Laurie, it's Laurie watching her granddaughter.
Wait, so Laurie's going to be the slasher in this movie?
Oh, yeah. See, now that's a movie I'd watch. Michael's just a premise, like a presence that gets talked about, but Laurie's the real danger. Fuck, I'm in for that movie. David Gordon Green, why didn't you make that movie instead of this one? Stop suggesting better movies in the middle of the movie we're talking about.
I'm sorry, my mind wanders.
Right. Now, the important thing to note about this sequence is that voice. That voice is a big piece of Halloween canon because it is original and best Linda, PJ Souls, who we just talked about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments that if you're a Halloween fan, you're like, oh shit, is that PJ Souls? That's PJ Souls. PJ Souls, who is amazing. I've met her. She's cool.
She is cool.
She signed a photo for me. She totally signed a photo for me.
We totally talked about Stripes.
Yep. Yes, we did. And Rock and Roll High School. So, yes. And then we have a scene with Allison and Laurie outside where they're talking about... Well, Laurie gives the $3,000 she got from the journalist to her granddaughter.
Yeah.
Like, just put it away. Use it for something. Don't just use it. And she's like, I'll save it for college. And Laurie's like, don't go to college. Fuck college. Go to Mexico. What? I know.
Studious.
Laurie Strode.
What? Oh.
And she's like,
what?
Yeah. But the important thing is that where this conversation goes is, she's like, don't worry about how your mom's going to react to you having this money. She'll get over whatever you do. She'll get over it.
Yeah.
And Allison, she's cagey. We don't really know her yet.
Yeah.
But this is the scene where we kind of get that she is just as quick as Laurie was in 78.
Yeah.
That she's just as incisive as Laurie. When she's like, why can't you get over it? Michael Myers, why haven't you gotten over that? Let it go already. Say goodbye and let go.
Yeah.
And Laurie needs a little bit of that. Does she heed her granddaughter's? No, she doesn't. But, yes, but no. But yes.
She tries.
No. Literally.
Tries.
The ending of the movie.
Well, even before that, she tries.
Yes, she does. So Laurie runs off. Allison goes to do her thing. We cut to Laurie's, I guess, version of therapy, where she's using her shotgun in the middle of the woods outside of her fucking house, blasting away at mannequins. Wacky fun.
What else are you going to do when you buy a house away out of town?
That house does not look bought.
Well,
that house looks built. And we'll talk about why that house was built and the way the house is built on the interior. Interestingly, a little later. So, yeah, she's shooting at mannequins and cleaning weapons. Meanwhile, the podcasters are listening to an audio recording of Dr. Loomis saying that they need to
It needs to die.
It needs to die! I will say this. There was an audio effect in the theatrical release that was toned down for the home video release. And I think it does play better without the audio effect. Because in the theatrical release, the tape is meant to be old and warped. They're playing an old cassette tape.
Yeah.
And there's a moment of warping at the end where, as you said, it needs to die.
It's still there in the...
It's still there.
But not as pronounced.
It's still there on that last
note.
line.
Yeah.
But it was throughout. Like, throughout the entire speech that he's giving. It was warping and and it made it kind of shitty. All of that's gone except for the "it needs to die" at the end. And it plays a little bit better. It still doesn't fucking sound like Loomis.
However,
that is my complaint about every single attempt to include Loomis's voice in a Halloween movie after the passing of Donald Pleasance. None of it sounds like Donald Pleasance. If you can't sound like Donald Pleasance, don't try.
This one does sound better.
Oh, it does sound
than
better
the one in H2O.
That doesn't sound
However,
right.
it doesn't sound anywhere near Donald Pleasance, but it sounds better than the last guy.
Just put it in writing. You know, for fuck's sake, have it in text.
Yeah.
You know, you can include Loomis in other ways than having an actor badly butcher yeah. I don't like it. It bothers me. But it plays better in its totality than being hidden through the audio effects. And then that is intercut with the prison transfer getting organized and Dr. Sartain making sure that he's on the bus with Michael so that he can carry Michael all the way to the new place. And Lori, she's sitting in a truck, and you're like, what's she doing in the truck? And then you realize, oh, she's watching the fucking prison load this bus full of prisoners. And drinking heavily.
Like she's trying to let go. She's
got some guns.
Like that's in case Michael breaks out.
Right,
or
yeah.
she's going to kill herself. I'm unsure of which at that point.
Uh-huh. Same here.
And it's even more unsure with some of the deleted scenes.
See, I've remained pure. I've not watched those. So yeah, she has an emotional breakdown in her truck as Michael's bus drives away. Then we cut to Ray and Karen having dinner with their daughter Allison and her new boyfriend Cameron, who again, Lonnie Elam's son, which is brought up here. Like, this is where we find out that he's Lonnie Elam's kid.
Yeah.
And that Ray has a past with Lonnie, which means that Ray is significantly older than his wife.
Yep.
By about a decade.
Yes.
Which is, it happens. Sure. Whatever. But
if it happens now and Allison's 17 years old, it was an entirely...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is everything is going smoothly well. Ray is doing like dad jokes.
Right.
And they're talking about the Halloween costume that they're having for the dance the next day.
And it's a couple's costume, and it's a theme, and it's Bonnie and Clyde, but there's a twist, and it's so cool. Yeah.
Normalcy, folks, normalcy.
It's all good. But it is normalcy, and it's kind of sort of forced normalcy. But the reason it's so mundanely normal is because it's about to be... That normalcy is about to be broken.
Yes.
When Lori shows up drunk and has a bit of a meltdown at their table.
And this is the moment I wanted to bring up earlier, where we see an event that happened before Michael Myers.
Yes.
You talked about the 5. It's here. There's a moment, and I maintain this is the only moment that you actually see Laurie Strode from 1978 as portrayed in the current era. There's a line when Laurie Strode says, I was in the National Honor Society too.
Right.
And her look, the look of her face, the way the hair is framed, it looks like in that moment when she is telling her granddaughter that she was in the National Honor Society too, it's as if Laurie Strode from '78 is standing there, and then it's gone.
Right. It's very quick. It's like a ghost.
Yes.
And it's one of those. That's exactly the moment I thought you were talking about when you said there's another one. I was like, oh, obviously, it's the National Honor Society moment, because they're really the only two that we see this former version of the character appear, and it's two very different takes on it too.
Yeah.
One of them is she's able to get in touch with that version of her because she's expressing empathy for people who are gone.
Yes.
And in the other one, it's this ghost of herself that is, kind of just hanging over her.
Yeah.
One is very subtle, and the other is just kind of just terrible. But that's it. That's all we see. Everything else is new Laurie, and new Laurie is a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And it's all push, 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 push. The plan, the plan, the plan, the trap, the trap, the trap. But we'll get there. The plan, the trap, the cage. It's not a cage. So Laurie has her breakdown, runs outside. She's crying. Allison goes out. And this is where Karen explains afterwards, after they get Laurie in her truck and
send her home.
Driving herself home, it seems, which is not exactly responsible in this particular state she's in, but okay, whatever. Karen explains to her daughter, Allison, what it was like to grow up with Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
That she was taught how to shoot a gun when she was 8. She was taught how to fight. She used to have to go down into the basement, rehearse the plan, and it gave her nightmares. And there's this montage of her, soldering things as a child.
Yeah.
Obviously, Laurie was doomsday prepping with her daughter.
It's like Laurie Strode went into the Mexican desert with Sarah Connor.
Yes. And Karen Strode is John Connor.
Yes.
Only she went, I don't need to kill a Terminator, 'cause fuck you. And then the state took her away when she was 12. So from 8 to 12, this was day and night for her.
Yes.
And then the state came along, and she never went back. And I don't know, it feels like there's more in the cut here. It feels like there's more. I don't know if there's a slightly different cut that was released on home video, because I feel like we get more of Karen talking about how she never went back and how, it took her time to realize that she had been brainwashed, kind of.
It's the same amount.
Maybe it just plays better, or maybe it's just the pacing. I'm able to finally pick up on it more.
The only reason I say it's the same is because I saw it 4 times in the theater, and I've seen it 6 times on home release, and 1 time, where somebody was putting up a Facebook watch party while I was still in the theater.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the only thing I know for sure is different from one to the other is literally that one audio edit that I brought up, because it was jarring, and I'm sure that's why they fixed it. I'm sure that they were like, no, the audiences reacted to this by saying it was incredibly jarring. Let's just do the unfiltered one. Let's just go with the earlier take before we put all the processing on it. Which, it was... It was a good idea.
And then after the flashback montage and everything, we get a shot of a dad and a kid driving.
Not just any kid. That kid's name is Lumpy.
Okay.
I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't.
After all the times you've seen
I
that.
didn't.
I didn't until I was watching it with my closed captioning on.
Okay.
The dad calls him Lumpy twice. Okay. So I mean, it's on the IMDb. He's listed as Lumpy. Like that immediately endears this kid to me in a way that I he's Lumpy, and Lumpy just wants to dance. Like I love this little kid, man. That is what this movie does deliver. Kids, like quirky, funny kids, like Lumpy here and others that we will learn more about later. But yes, it delivers on kids in a way that kind of redeems the sort of surface level treatment that we get from Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace in number one. Like these kids are fully fleshed out characters.
Yeah.
More so than some of the adults.
Also true.
Yeah. So Dad and Lumpy are heading out to go hunting. And Lumpy's like, I'm missing dance class for this.
I mean, I'll do this with you, Dad.
I'll do this. We can hunt on the weekends, but dancing's where it's at for me right now.
It's my passion.
And the kid's just like, come on. And you can tell that the dad is not getting it, but it's great that they're having this dialogue, and it's front and center, and it's kind of cool and charming. And then while they're on their way, they hit this patch of dense fog and see a crashed bus as the dad narrowly misses, colliding with an escaped mental patient.
Yes.
So they've come across the prison bus. The prison bus has crashed. The dad gets out to sort of investigate. He tells Lumpy to call the police. Lumpy calls the police. And there's a long moment where we hang on Lumpy talking to the police, and the dad is out doing his thing. And the officer, we don't hear what it is, but the officer asks Lumpy something, and he says, I'll check. He gets out of the car, grabs his rifle, because they're going hunting. And starts to go out to investigate himself. That he never finds his father.
No.
He does find a sheriff, who he kind of, taps with the butt of his gun, and not a sheriff, a guard.
Yeah.
He kind of taps him with the butt of his gun, and the guy wakes up and grabs him and is like,
Run.
He's like, I'll go get my dad. And he's like, no, run. And, this guard is like doing everything he can. Like, no, fuck your dad. Get out of here, kid.
And Lumpy goes so far as to not run, but to go into the bus.
Because that's where his dad might be.
Yeah.
Because he's, he's a kid. So he goes into the bus, and this is my favorite moment. I don't know why, but it's Dr. Sartain pops up out of nowhere and says, don't shoot! And then
blam!
He shoots him right in the chest. It's a little 22. It's a little, kid's hunting rifle, so it's not killing him, but just don't shoot! Boom!
Oh, shit!
And then he runs back to the truck. And you have this great sort of chuckle moment right before probably the most disturbing moment in the movie. Where Lumpy gets into the truck in the driver's seat. Like, Lumpy's like, I'm getting out of here.
I'm 12, but I'm driving.
I will drive this fucking car. But before he can, turn it on, put it in gear, a shadowy figure pops out of the back, because they're in a Chevy Blazer.
Yeah.
It might be a Bronco, because it's an older model.
Yeah.
And this, figure emerges just like he did. And it's literally just like that shadow of Michael popping up over Annie's shoulder in Halloween 1. And this is one of those callback moments. And it starts that same way. And then it becomes far more graphic as Michael slams the child's head into the wall of the car.
Yeah.
And there's a cracking of his neck. This is the first child that Michael Myers has murdered. This is the first innocent that Michael Myers has murdered by the rules of a horror movie.
Yeah.
By the rules that Halloween, by and large, established. So, yeah, this was a little off-putting to me as a horror watcher, as a horror viewer. I don't know about you.
Well, I have this thing about kids anyway, having worked with kids as long as I did, which is why the Babadook freaked me the hell out, which is a story for another day.
Possibly literally.
But, it's one of the things that makes Halloween 4 effective when it shouldn't be.
Right, because he's going after a kid, and
Yes.
it adds a layer of terror there that because you're never sure of her safety, but then she gets free.
Yeah.
So it establishes that kids can be imperiled, but they're gonna make it.
Yeah, and then
Not lumpy.
No, lumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was disturbing, and in one of those moments where I'm like, okay, we're taking a turn here in Halloween. I might be on board with the more sinister, mature thing that this could lead to. This is one of those points where I'm like, oh shit, rules have changed. They are doing what they promised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a moment.
Yeah. So then we get a moment in a store where a police officer named Hawkins is playing the Back to the Future pinball machine game.
I mean, I guess it's a good one. I'm not a pinball aficionado.
Right. And there's an exchange. It's a, hey, this guy lives in this town kind of moment to establish that, he's a fixture here in town.
Yeah.
It's legit. And he gets called to the scene. He goes, he finds the bodies, he finds Sartain. They take Sartain to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. There's a title card that says October 31st. It's Halloween now. The podcasters go to the Haddonfield Cemetery to look at the gravestone of Judith Myers. Because, it's what you do when you're in Haddonfield.
That's what you do. And
We get a creepy shot of Michael Myers watching off in the distance. And while the James J. Courtney, what's his name?
James Courtney.
James Courtney. I thought it was something James Courtney. But yeah, James Courtney. While he is a more compact, a smaller Michael, who is more along the lines of the original shape, size-wise, the fact that he's standing there in inmate white,
Yes.
makes him stand out in this graveyard scene just as much as a certain gigantic Michael in a previous graveyard scene in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible for there to be a scene where Michael is so incongruous to the shot that he just stands out like that.
Well, Courtney's
without him being a fucking giant.
Well, Courtney's also taller.
He's taller.
He's like 6'2".
Yeah, but I mean, he's of a slight enough build that you can forgive it and kind of just visually allow yourself to put him in that same range. Yeah. Except here, where you're like, oh, look at that obvious fucking dude dressed in white over there staring at us.
Which the caretaker of the cemetery turns and looks at him.
Doesn't say a fucking thing.
Doesn't say anything, and the podcasters are just going on and on, and that's
this is where we do get some intercut of footage of Halloween.
Yes.
It's the only place where we get footage of Halloween, 1978, and it's to show Judith. Which, interestingly enough, the last time we had a big milestone Halloween movie, we also included some Halloween footage, but it was Laurie.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not significant in any way, but,
I think by removing the sister element with Laurie Strode, you needed to focus in on a key murder from Halloween, and it's Judith. Because then it plays out later with some Sartain dialogue.
Right.
Which makes you... they're trying to logic Michael Myers' killing in that he's trying to recreate the kill, the first one that excited him. I don't think that's possible. That's not what Michael Myers is. There are people who've been saying that for decades online, and he's not a normal dude.
Right. So, yeah, they do their thing. Then we have the sheriff and Hawkins meet up at the, I guess it's not a hospital. It's some sort of like triage station somewhere. Like the location doesn't visually make sense.
Yes.
For what is going on there, because Sartain is on a hospital bed, but it's in like a fucking lodge or something. Like there's like there's a coffee maker in the fucking room.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like they took him to the Elks Lodge. It doesn't make sense. So I'm guessing it's like a first aid station or something like that. I don't know why they wouldn't just take him to the fucking hospital. But they have a conversation about, finding all the escaped mental patients, and, all of them have rounded up except for a few. And Hawkins is like, well, I've been looking at this list, and this one kind of stands out. Did you see this one? Yeah. This one right here. It says Michael Myers on Halloween.
40
years to the day.
To this day.
I'm a little concerned about this. It's the one moment where I'm like, thank you. That's the appropriate response to this.
Yes.
No matter who you are, of all the police officers who have dealt with the idea of Michael Myers having escaped on Halloween Day, that's the first one to be like, what the fuck, man? We gotta deal with this. Sheriff Brackett? No, it'll be fine. Look at all these people lined up. We don't want to mess things up for our town. Flash forward. Sheriff Meeker like, oh, but with all these rednecks, they might go crazy. We can't do nothing. Flash forward further. Second Sheriff Brackett. Same thing as the first Sheriff Brackett. But this guy, he's not even the sheriff. He's like, motherfuckers.
What are we going to do about this?
Michael Myers. What are we doing today?
And then the sheriff.
The sheriff immediately reverts to type of the previous sheriffs and is like, what are we going to do? Cancel Halloween? Ha ha ha! Walks away. I love that moment where it's like you get progress, finally. Oh wait, no. Same shit, different day.
Yeah.
But maybe Will Patton's character will get to be the sheriff, by the end. Like, the crappy sheriff will get killed and, he'll get to get promoted and be the next sheriff. Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
so,
podcasters.
So the podcasters go to the gas station. And at the gas station, this Bronco pulls up, and this dude in obvious mental patient white, the same mental patient white he was wearing the previous day when they talked to him.
No, nobody in this movie looks in the background.
Passes within like 30 inches. Not feet. Inches of Aaron the podcaster. You saw his fucking face, dude. You know that's... Look behind you.
Well,
Sam Loomis set the precedent in Halloween 1, so it's
Yeah.
acceptable. But, there are moments where it's like, people are the only people on a street, and there's one cop car, 2 cop car, 3 cop car, 4 cop cars front drive them in the background. Like, turn around, Allison. Safety is behind you. It's a Halloween movie. It's how this works. So they're at a gas station. Dana goes inside to go to the bathroom. Aaron's filling up. When Dana's inside in the bathroom, this figure wearing a mechanic's jumpsuit walks in and starts menacing her.
Yes.
A la Halloween H2O's bathroom scene. Although this one is somehow less terrifying.
Also, the key moment in this is ruined by the trailer.
Oh yeah, with the teeth.
Yeah.
Even that though. I mean, there's something. I don't know how best to say this. The moment in Halloween H2O where the rock slides out of the way and the door slams shut and the mom looks under and she just sees this hand reach under, grab her purse, take her fucking car keys and walk away. And then the kid starts screaming is incredibly tension filled.
Yeah.
This is not tension filled. It's just violent. At no point are you like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You're like, no, he's going to break down that door. Oh, she's going to try to run on. Oh, he's going to grab her. Like, there's no... Good tension makes you question what's going to happen next. That never happens here. Just never happens.
For me, it did for a brief second.
Right.
When he drops the teeth. Like, I don't know what's coming next. Oh, wait. They didn't capitalize on that. I know what's coming next.
Right.
And then... Yeah.
Yeah. So then, Aaron goes in. He finds that the station attendant's dead. He goes and he finds that the mechanic has been killed and stripped. And he goes into the bathroom, tries to interrupt Michael before he can kill Dana. Just basically gets himself smashed into a wall until he's a bloody mess. And then Dana gets her neck snapped. So then Michael Myers goes to their car and opens up their trunk and takes out his mask. And it's fucking Halloween time again. Dun dun dun! Welcome back. Roll credits. It's Halloween again. There's a news story about the crash that Lori hears. She panics and starts her prep. This is where we see the basement, which is under this island in her kitchen that she has a remote control that it slides out of the way. You go down the stairs. You're in this basement filled with weapons. Karen gets home. Lori has broken into the house.
Gotcha, you're dead.
To warn her daughter and her daughter's husband that Michael has escaped. And from there, Lori goes straight to the gas station crime scene because she's got a police scanner, obviously.
Yeah.
It's never actually addressed, but she has to have one because she keeps showing up at all the crime scenes. So she shows up at the gas station. This is where Hawkins reveals to the sheriff that he was there on the night of, Halloween 78. He was working for the Haddonfield Police Force then, and he was on scene. We don't find out the key piece of information about Hawkins until a little bit later. And then we have this moment, which is really it's the best moment in the movie. It's the thing that is the most Halloween. It is the Shape Returns oneer. It is this tracking shot that starts on Michael bumping into trick-or-treaters, going off down an alleyway, going into a garage, grabbing a hammer, using that hammer to kill a woman in her kitchen, to steal her knife, to then go outside next door to the next house over, go inside, stab a woman who's on the phone, almost kill a baby. It's this tracking shot that it is boil the Halloween franchise down to its most exciting moments and try to duplicate it. That's it.
Yes.
That's it. It doesn't do anything, though. It doesn't locomotive ahead the narrative. It's just Michael's back.
The opening of Halloween 2 doesn't locomotive the narrative either.
Well, and that is what is literally ripped.
Yeah.
That's what this rips from. I mean, the moment with the woman with she's cutting ham for a sandwich in curlers and a pink robe.
Yeah.
That's straight from Halloween 2. The woman on the phone with Michael in the background popping up. Straight from Halloween 2. It's just Halloween 2.
Yeah.
But more artfully done.
Yes.
It's almost like, David Gordon Green was like, hey, John, I know you're producing this movie, John Carpenter, but you know how Rick Rosenthal directed these scenes and you didn't like them, so you came back and you redirected some of the others? I could have done those better. See, I did them better. like you're trying to best Rick Rosendahl for some reason. I don't know why. And then we after that wonderful montage, because it's really all it is. It's just a hey, look at this, best of Halloween, cool. We go right into the Haddonfield High Halloween party, where we see yet another overwrought Halloween party in a Halloween movie. Like, these are the biggest Halloween parties you've ever seen in these small ass fucking towns. But okay. Vicky's not at the party. She's babysitting, and she calls Allison from the place where she's babysitting. She's babysitting little Julian, who is the best character in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Little Julian, who is, should be asleep and knows it, but instead he's just hanging out in the living room, clipping his toenails. His nasty ass toenails. And he's clever enough that when Vicky makes a reference on the phone to the Alakazam, they're bringing the Alakazam. He's like, you're going to go smoke weed. That's against the rules. No, it's weed. He knows.
No,
he's a
weed.
smart kid.
No, it's weed. I'm gonna tell my mom.
And they have this banter that is organic and real, and it makes sense. And then nothing comes of it. Hold on. So because of this Vicky moment, we get we get the good section of the movie that actually makes sense, fits what we were told we were going to get, which is an updating of Halloween. He's once again stalking a babysitter. He's doing the thing. It's Michael Myers. That's him. He's Julian gets put to bed. He's her favorite kid. It's great. Her boyfriend comes over. They make out on the couch. There's a noise. Julian comes down and says, "There's someone watching me outside of my room." Babysitter goes inside, tries to, convince him everything's okay, puts him back to bed, goes to close the closet door. And yes, someone's in the closet. And it's not just someone, it's Michael fucking Myers.
Yes.
And you have this genuine terror-filled sequence of Michael killing the babysitter. And then Julian running away and telling Dave, "Get out of here, he'll kill you too." And then bolting. Julian just goes.
He does that thing that everybody says they're going to do.
And he does it. And we never see him again. Hopefully in the next movie. And Dave also gets killed. So, yeah. So, we have that moment, and then we get right back to the Laurie Strode and the Allison Strode of it all. So, eventually, Hawkins and Laurie both show up at the crime scene at Julian's house to investigate. Obviously, Laurie heard it on her police scanner. There is a great moment here where she does, as she's yelling at children to go home, yells at a couple kids in Halloween 3 masks.
Yeah.
And they're side by side, each one of them in a row together, just like in that shot in the commercial. It's probably my favorite shot in the whole movie. Hawkins goes inside and finds Vicky's body covered in a sheet that's made to look like a ghost. So he's back to Michael Myers. He's dressing things up. He's being whimsical. This is Michael. Laurie's outside. She sees Michael through the window and she shoots at him. But she doesn't actually hit him because she shoots at a mirror that is reflecting him, which is enough to, for Hawkins to turn and see Michael as he's running down the stairs.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a chase. Laurie and Hawkins realize that both of them are hunting Michael, and both of them know he's there. The police show up with Sartain. Sartain says he's gonna basically perform the Loomis role and help the police track Michael, just like Loomis had done in the original movie. Which is, they put a pin in it when Laurie's like, "So you're the new Loomis."
Yeah.
Allison and Oscar have left the party because Allison and her boyfriend had a fight because her boyfriend kissed another girl.
Yeah.
And he'd been drinking all night and he wasn't supposed to be or something like that. And he's a dick, so he threw her phone in what I think is supposed to be punch, but it looks like a bowl of Cheese Whiz.
I think it's like nacho dip.
Because, I mean, but it's got ladles in it. 2 ladles, and there's cups. I don't understand.
It's
But it's gloopy.
Yeah.
Like cheese. So she doesn't have access to her phone. And that's the important part. As she's walking away, the police are trying to get a hold of her. Her parents are trying to get a hold of her. Lori is trying to get a hold of her. Because fucking Michael Myers is here, and shit has to happen.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this for the Haddonfield of 2018, having survived 78, they know what they need to do. They need to get everybody off the streets. They need to lock things down. They know what to do now.
Yeah.
Which is a far cry from the Haddonfield of 1988 or 1998. Just saying. Well, Haddonfield is not actually in 1998. That's Langdon, Illinois.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not quite Haddonfield. So, yeah. Allison and Oscar are walking home. Oscar suggests they take a shortcut because Oscar is kind of creepy and has a bit of a crush on Allison and is going to make his move now that his best friend has just broken up with her.
Yeah.
Sartain rides with Hawkins to go track down Michael, and you think as the scene starts that you're going to have kind of a Brackett and Loomis vibe, and as they talk, it feels a little odd. You're not sure why.
Yeah.
Because it's setting up something that's about to happen. Michael, Oscar kisses Allison.
Yes.
She doesn't dig that. She goes off on her own. She's like, "Sorry, dude, fuck off." He freaks out. Has a conversation with Mr. Elrod. Yes, Mr. Elrod from Halloween 2, the movie that doesn't exist anymore. I think Mr. Elrod and all the stuff in that montage, I think somebody's like, "Man, but I really like Halloween 2. I like that movie." But he's having a conversation with Mr. Elrod. It's not Mr. Elrod. It's Michael Myers, who stabs him and then impales him on a wrought iron fence post. Allison hears the screaming of Oscar and comes running back. And then that's when she sees him hanging on this wrought iron fence. But the important thing is she also sees Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And Michael Myers sees her. And she's heard enough of the family story. She knows what the fuck's going on, and she bolts. Lori has gone to Karen's house and has collected Karen and Ray and is like, "We're going to my place."
Because it's the most defensible place in town.
And the cops are waiting at Karen's place so that when Allison shows back up, they'll pick her up and take her to Lori's. They've called, they left messages, but she doesn't have a fucking phone. But she does the smart thing. She runs to somebody's house and she pounds on the door. And she pounds on the door until someone answers the goddamn door. She does exactly what you're supposed to do. What Lori tried to do in 1978, and in the cynical world of the 70s, nobody answered the door for her. 2018 is pretty fucking cynical, but somebody answered the door.
Yeah.
So I gotta say that the commentary that things are a little better is kind of nice. And those people call the cops, and the cops show up, and they pick Allison up. And it's Sartain and Hawkins who show up. And they're going to go and they're going to take her to Lori. And that's exactly what they say they're going to do. We're going to go to Lori. And yet, the second they start driving away, Sartain's like, "Keep an eye out for Michael." What? But no. Take her to her fucking grandmother. They do see Michael. Meanwhile, back at Lori's compound, she's taken Ray and Karen into the basement and given them all their weapons. So Sartain and Hawkins spot Michael, and Hawkins, no shit, just runs him over.
You hear Sartain say, "Don't hit him!"
And Hawkins is like,
"Nope, hits him."
brace something, brace for impact, and boom, smacks into him, gets out of the car, and is going to shoot Michael in the fucking head. Finally, someone with some sense in fucking Haddonfield, Illinois. But Sartain gets in the way. And Sartain is... The dialogue he says is very much, don't, kill this prisoner. He's in our custody. Don't do this. But at the same time as he's saying these rational things, he's pulling out a knife and preparing to stab Hawkins. So it's just a cover.
Yep.
Because he has this desire to find out what the emotional core of Michael Myers is. And now that Michael's free, he's going to examine that. So he stabs Hawkins in the throat, steals Michael's mask, puts it on, puts Michael in the back seat of the cop cruiser with Allison. So the doors are locked, she can't get out. She's trapped with an unconscious Michael Myers. And then Sartain gets in the driver's seat and starts heading toward Laurie Strode's because he wants to force a conflict between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, so he can understand the psychology of both. This is when we cut to the two cops. We have a two cops moment. These two cops, way better than the last two cops, because the last two cops were in Halloween 5. Fuck those cops. These cops, they're just talking about sandwiches. Banh mi sandwiches. Just a Korean sandwich with peanut butter and jelly inside. It's a great little scene. It's fun. It's one and done. It's quick. But these cops are, sort of they're at the gate, at the security gate, Laurie's gate. Meanwhile, in the car with Sartain's he's monologuing to Allison that what he wants is he wants to get Michael to talk, wants to get Michael to say something. Now, Allison is as clever and as quick as her grandmother. It's like, he talked to me. When he killed my friend, he talked to me, said one word. And if you let me go, I'll tell it to you. Sartain stops the car, comes to a halt, but he's close enough that the two cops can see
the lights.
His lights. So they go to investigate. Meanwhile, in the back seat, Sartain is now obsessed with finding out what this one word that was said to Allison is, rather than actually, letting Allison go. Michael's waking the fuck up. But we see Michael's priorities here, which is unique. He's got someone within reach.
Seemingly right up his alley of victimhood.
Someone it seemed like he was looking for. But in the front seat, there's Sartain. So he kicks the security gate in between him and Sartain and starts beating his way out of the car to kill Sartain, not the girl.
What's interesting is that's a moment where they're keying off of the Judith thing, because he doesn't actually kick until Sartain says, well, what was the one word? Was it the name of his sister? Judith? And then violence.
Yep. And there's a moment where he actually gets the door open and he's going after Sartain, and Sartain's struggling with him, and Michael sees Allison get out of the car, run into the woods, looks at her, looks back at Sartain.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're fine. You run, little girl.
You run. I don't even know if I'm going to kill you. You just go.
Just go. It's fine. I've got this guy right here. We're good.
This guy's really pissing me off.
And Sartain is doing the same thing that Aaron, the podcaster guy, was doing at the beginning. He's compelling Michael to say something. That's when Michael decides, instead of saying something, to fucking do something, and stomps on his head. Bashes it open like grape jelly. We had a running conversation about all the head squishings and head bashings in the Adam Green movies.
Yes.
This is what Adam Green, I believe, was trying to do. was this.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, it's effective. And it's like, oh, That's what they wanted Victor Crowley to be able to do. What Michael Myers can do. So the two cops show up because nobody's answering the radio, but here's this cop car with lights going.
Yeah.
They come to investigate. They find dead Sartain, and then they see Michael.
And
that's the last we see of the two cops.
sort of.
So Laurie's prepping the house. Allison is running through the woods. Ray comes outside like, hey.
Because the cop car is pulled back up to the house.
Exactly. The cop car pulls back up, and Ray's like, oh, you're good. You're here. Have you heard anything yet? And then he goes to the car, and the guys are dead. One of their heads has been turned into this gruesome jack-o'-lantern. Oh, it's Michael again. He's being whimsical, but far more creepy than before. And it's that version of Michael through the rest of the movie. It's all over now. Fun. So Michael kills Ray. Ray's done. Laurie bars the door, telling Karen that Michael's here. Karen runs into the basement. Michael bashes through the front door and grabs Laurie and starts smacking her head into things. And this is where the fight begins.
Yeah.
There's a struggle. Laurie uses her shotgun to blast off some of Michael's fingers. She turns on the floodlights, goes into the basement, locks the door, the island thingy above it. She apologizes to Karen for the way that she raised her. This is her moment of making amends. Michael breaks into the house. Laurie shoots him through the floorboards. And you see that she has definitely built this place to handle Michael.
Yeah.
Like, she's definitely got a plan here. So she leaves the safety of the basement and starts clearing the house with her shotgun. Every time she clears a room, she closes a gate. Just locks that room off. So that she's limiting the options on the places that Michael can go.
Yeah.
Which is genius. I mean, it's a genius plan. Okay, cool. I'm on board with it, I guess.
I mean, and it makes sense in with what she went through in Halloween. Because that dude was always popping out of nowhere at her.
Exactly. Allison manages to find her way into the weird, creepy mannequin field.
The mannequin shooting range.
And has a flip out, and it's fine. It's totally justified. Laurie continues stalking Michael through the house. What I like about this is literally the role has reversed. It's her house, and she's stalking him through it. Yeah. Just like he stalked her through the Doyle and Wallace houses in Halloween 78. And the sort of genius moment of that comes in, and I mentioned specifically we talk about the construction later on. There was going to be in the original script a flashback sequence set in the Doyle house. Yeah. With Will Patton's Hawkins character showing up and stopping Loomis from shooting Michael at the end of the movie. They built the set before they decided they weren't going to make that. They weren't going to include that scene. So what they did is this set that they had built to mirror the Doyle house exactly. They just made that the interior of Laurie's house. Yeah. And where that comes into play beautifully is when she walks into this bedroom where there is a louvered door closet, just like the one she hid in Halloween, where she finds the body of Ray. And there's all these mannequins, and Michael pops out of nowhere from behind these mannequins, throws them at her, and they struggle. And Michael throws her out a window. Michael throws Laurie Strode out of the window that Michael Myers fell out of in 1978. Yeah. Like, visually, and it's built to measure. It's the same window. So it's literally the roles have reversed. Laurie's falling out of the second floor of the Doyle house's bedroom that Michael fell out of 40 years earlier. And Michael's the one looking out of the window to see where the body fell, not Dr. Loomis. Yeah. But it's it's very subtle, and if you catch it, like if you know that room, like I know that room, and like you know that room because we've watched this movie 18 billion fucking times. You see it and you're like, holy shit, that's the Doyle house. And it's beautifully done. Allison comes running up to the house, and Michael looks at her and then looks back to Laurie. Laurie's gone! She has become the fucking shape.
Yes.
It's genius. It is so genius. And Allison comes into the house. Like, this is where the movie actually starts to redeem itself. It's literally in the last 3 minutes. It's like, okay. That's clever. I had to sit through some crap to get to clever. Karen opens up the thing and brings Allison into the basement. Michael figures out where the fucking basement's hidden because he's not stupid. Grabs a fire poker and starts bashing away at the mechanism. And here's where we have the great moment for Karen Strode.
Yeah.
Where he's getting the thing open. He's bashing the island over, and there's the doorway that leads down to the basement. And, you know, he does a classic Michael disappear. He's like, okay, I'm going to trap her. And Karen starts screaming for her mother. And you know, saying that she can't handle it and she needs Laurie to save her. And Michael just pops out like, all right, cool. You're helpless. Great. And that's when Karen shoots him in the chest with her rifle from when she was a little girl that has her initials carved on it. And she just calms down the second he steps into frame. He's like, gotcha.
Which is the exact same thing she said when she shot as a kid.
Yep.
Like, it is a shining moment of acting because you suddenly see somebody go still in a shot, and going still is one of the hardest things to do in acting.
Yeah.
And she pulls it off, goes from trembling, like sucking him in with her terror, and then boom, still, gotcha,
and shoots him. Just in time for Laurie Strode to pop out of the shadows with a knife and stab him in the back. She has become the shape.
Yeah.
She stabs him. There's a struggle. She starts to push him down the stairs. He falls down the stairs into the basement. Allison and Karen run up the stairs to get out of the basement. Michael latches on to Karen. Allison grabs Michael's knife and tries to stab at him. Laurie just fucking punches him. He lets go and falls the rest of the way. And Laurie pulls a lever that engages these spikes that pop out across the entrance to the stairwell that creates a cage.
Yep.
This is when the reveal that has been teased throughout all the scenes in this basement is finally, given out. When Karen, who was there when it was built as a kid, explains to her daughter, it's not a cage, it's a trap.
Yeah.
And Laurie starts engaging the fucking trap. Now that Michael's in it, she turns on the gas. She pulls out the fuses. She means to light this place and burn it to the fucking ground with Michael in it.
Yes.
Scorched earth. Good plan. And she lights the house up and they run. Okay, done. They flag down a truck, get in the truck, drive away. Michael burns.
But there's this shot.
Yes.
Where he's gone.
Which could mean he survives. It could mean nothing. Don't know.
Yeah. It was. I think it's an imitation of the end shot of Halloween.
Same here. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And the last shot is these three ladies in various states of health in the back of a truck, and we pan over to Allison, and she's clutching Michael's knife as tightly as she can.
Yes.
And the Halloween triumphant music starts, which is a neat variation on the Halloween theme. Movie over. There is one cute little image that is worth noting, is that Laurie has a dollhouse in her house that catches fire and burns. It's the Myers house.
Yeah.
Like, There's no questioning.
Like
That's the Myers house.
Like the dollhouse that she built for her daughter as a kid was the Myers house.
And that brings us to the end of the recap, and it's a long recap because this is a very dense movie.
Yes, and it's scene,
and there's no relenting. There's a lot of movie packed in here.
Yeah,
and I think we know that there was originally planned to be 2 movies, and it was condensed into one.
And the first version that tested was 45 minutes longer.
Yeah, which, whew, good Lord. I mean, we've taken about the length of the whole movie to describe the movie.
Yeah.
Which is, oof. Eesh. So, with the movie done, we can kind of...
I want to do, before we do thoughts and stuff, I want to do Financial Corner.
Oh, wow, Financial Corner. We haven't done Financial Corner in over a year now.
And I'm actually going to bring up international, because we normally don't, but it's intriguing. This, what do you think the budget on this was?
8 mil.
Estimated 10. So it could have been 8, but the estimation's 10. Domestic take was 159,342,000.
Well, by God, I think that guarantees there's going to be a Halloween 18 too.
Now, normally, I don't bring up international because a lot of the movies we've talked about didn't even do international.
Right.
And slashers don't play internationally.
This isn't a slasher. I mean, it is, but it's something unique. It's a Halloween movie. It's its own thing.
This movie made $96 million internationally.
Jesus.
For bringing it to a grand total of $255 million.
Whew.
And a half.
Wow, that guarantees that we're going to get more.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't really feel like we need to do a best kill, worst kill on this one because so few of the kills actually are on screen.
Yes.
So we're going to skip that. Let's get into thoughts. I'll throw mine out first. I'll give you some cover because I think mine is a little more radical than yours. I enjoyed the nostalgia of this when we first saw it. But if you look back and you listen to the second one, you can see that there are 2 people in the room whose thoughts are already starting to fray about this movie. And I hadn't seen it a second time. You had.
Yes.
I was already starting to second guess it just based on remembering it. There's an odd experience that the more I watch this movie, the less I like it.
Yeah.
And the less I understand any of the choices that were fucking made. It's a beautifully shot Halloween movie. It's one of my least favorites. It's down at the bottom of the stack for me at this point. Like, I like Halloween 6 more than I like this.
I'm right there at that point.
Yeah, it's slick and it's polished and it looks good and the performances are great, but there's no there. The Emperor has no clothes at all, and the more you try to suss it out, the harder it is to see it. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm just gonna be blunt. I do not like this movie.
As I've mentioned in the past, for our continuing fans, for our continuing listeners,
if you're still here after a year of us being away,
I belong to an online community about Halloween, the movie, and for many years, I have read threads and participated in the idea of Michael and Laurie not being related, right, and what you could do with that.
Yes.
Like you could uncouple all of the crap that has been inundated on the series by the simple fact of just going back and starting from Halloween. And if you want to reset from Halloween, not Halloween 2, and take away brother and sister.
Yeah.
And that would open it up and you could do anything with it. And they did this, and they didn't do anything with it.
Right. It didn't actually open anything up.
Nothing changes. They could have been brother and sister in this movie, and
Yeah.
it would have been the same movie.
Well, and I do, and I mentioned this even at the first conversation about this. I mentioned my thoughts about this Laurie Strode being incongruous with this movie, and the other Laurie Strode from Halloween H2O being my preferred future of that character.
Yeah.
And what I really think is that the wrong Laurie Strode is in the wrong movie. Right? The Laurie Strode who changes her name and goes off and just lives a posh life elsewhere and rebuilds her life. Has a kid, worries that maybe this guy might show up, has a bit of a drinking problem because of it. Has a substance abuse problem because of it, because she's on lots of medication.
Yeah.
That's the version who only goes through that night.
Yes. It just goes through Halloween, not
Yeah.
Halloween 2.
You know, the one who just experiences Halloween and has no emotional connection to Michael Myers, she's the one who I think can get past it. The one who's utterly broken by it is, I think, the Laurie who is his sister.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this version of Laurie belongs in Halloween H2O, where she's dealing with her brother.
Yeah.
Or, more to the point, I think Halloween H2O, because that movie is the same movie, aside from some dialogue tweaks, whether they're brother and sister or not.
Yeah.
I think both of them have that same issue. Like, you change Will Brennan's dialogue in Halloween H2O, take that Adam Arkin dialogue out and put something else in there. Same movie.
Yeah.
If you take that line of dialogue about weren't they brother and sister? No, somebody made that up. You take that out of here, it's the same movie.
Yeah.
It's an easier cut here because you only got to take one line of dialogue out and then it just plays.
And nobody needs to mention it because
Right.
it's known.
But
It
I
is
think
known.
it is known. But I feel like in many ways that movie, Halloween H2O, is the one that proceeds off of the universe where they're not related.
Yeah.
And this is the one that proceeds off them being related because it's more personal. There's no reason for Michael Myers to come back after Laurie Strode
Yeah.
at all in this movie, except contrivance,
Yes.
right? But he does, right? Like, when he gets there, oh, that's all he needs. He needs to kill her. It doesn't play.
I mean, he earlier in the movie, he is shot by her.
Yeah.
Like when she come from running outside from the mirror shot, she actually gets a shot off at him and hits his shoulder, and he's running away. He's trying to get away from her.
Yep. Exactly. And I don't know. There are a lot of great ideas in this movie that all would be great in their own movie, but together they don't work.
And there are a lot of great visual shots in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's beautiful.
that-
It's the best looking Halloween movie since Halloween. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, not to, mock Dwight Little.
No, the only other one that comes close is RZH2,
Yeah. But that's
and that's a different animal altogether.
altogether. I mean, that's hard to watch. This is not hard to
Yeah.
watch. This is infinitely watchable. This movie has what I like to call Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back syndrome. While I'm watching it, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I turn it on, because it's been on HBO a lot.
Yes, it has.
And I'll come on it and I'll just be like, all right, let's watch Halloween. And as you're watching it, you're like, yeah, cool, get her, yeah, go Michael, go, burn him, yeah. And then the movie ends and you're like, wait, God, that is, ugh.
See, I was like that a while back. I'm past that.
Now you're the point where you're like, fuck this.
I'm like, I don't like Allison. She's unlikable.
She is.
Why is this movie focused on her so much? She's on Vicky. The story's Vicky.
That's exactly right. Where the movie sings is where it leans into the old movie.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the moment where he is the babysitter stalker again.
Yeah.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing what the character was built to do in the first movie, and he's doing it well. And, you know, from that moment forward, Vicky could run toward Allison, who is then able to take the experience and the knowledge that she has from growing up Laurie Strode's granddaughter
Yeah.
to get through the event. And that's a better story than what we got. And all that is just shifting the focus.
Yes.
And Laurie's a presence in the movie. Or like you were talking about earlier in the movie, where Laurie is now the stalker. And Laurie has gone off the deep end and is the killer, and Michael's not even in it.
Yeah.
It's a better movie. Or, you know, Karen has this moment where she realizes that it's legit and Michael is back. And that thing that she has been avoiding because she thought it was just her mother's weird paranoia was reality. So she steps up and leads an arc throughout the movie. And Laurie is kind of the matriarch of this family of 3 badass ladies. That's a better movie too.
Yeah.
All of these ideas are better movies than what actually got made. Which is, you know, not...
I mean, we can play Monday quarterback all we want.
All day long. The only way to, you know, bear out the fruit of that would be to make my own slasher movie.
Yeah.
Which I still don't have the money for that. But I just feel like this is... What we were promised is not what was delivered.
Yeah.
And as a fan of this franchise who has been through this before, I don't feel that jettisoning the universe that we had before is worth what we got. I don't feel that getting rid of Jamie Lloyd was worth Halloween Resurrection. And I really don't feel that getting rid of Halloween H2O was worth this.
Yeah.
Because Halloween H2O, for what it was, sure, it's definitely a product of 1998. You can't avoid that.
No.
I mean, it's got a Creed song in it, for fuck's sake. But at the end of the day, I feel that Halloween 2018 is a better... Halloween H2O is a better celebration of 20 years of the franchise than Halloween 2018 is of 40 years of the franchise.
Yeah.
Because, in a lot of ways, to celebrate 40 years of the franchise, we excluded 39 years of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, even though, you know, we excluded the Jamie Lloyd movies, H2O leaned in to the whole franchise. And its mark on the horror genre. It
Yeah.
made it a little meta at times. But, you know, that was the 90s. I'm not impressed. The news that there are 2 others coming,
Yes.
I don't know that fills me with hope. I know some people on the internet are speculating that, there's still a surprise reveal to come. That they are, in fact, related here as well. And we'll find that out at the end. And to that I say, fuck you. If David Gordon Green, if you're listening, okay, not that you would be.
But if you would be.
If you would be listening, if you are listening, I will walk the fuck out of your movie if you did away with Laurie and Michael being brother and sister just to have them end up being brother and sister.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's just manipulating.
And then the at least
I will stand up and walk out of the fucking theater on that one. I shit you not.
And the next one, Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills. Yes.
Hollow Kills, as I like to call it. It's like old folks' home, man.
Yeah, I heard.
For the characters.
Well, yeah, for the characters. Not all the actors.
And some of the actors.
Many of the actors, from what I'm hearing. And it's leaning into Halloween 1. And that's maybe what this one should have done. Maybe that old home week feel that leads into something else should have happened here, not in the sequel to this one.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I've only been watching these movies for the last 21 years. Bullshit.
I just...
Yeah. I know, and I haven't talked with the
Blanchard brothers
to see how they feel about it since our conversation a year ago. I know I have definitely lost my taste for this movie.
I'd lost my taste then.
And I feel this movie is kind of making me lose my taste for the franchise. Like, I'm not excited about another Halloween movie. I used to be excited about new Halloween movies, regardless of what the fuck they were. Like, I was excited about Resurrection.
We were excited about...
There was no reason to be excited about Resurrection. That trailer was terrible. That everything looked bad. Busta Rhymes was in that movie. I love Busta Rhymes as a rapper.
Busta Rhymes is the best thing about that movie.
Busta Rhymes remains the best thing about that movie, and I'm not...
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
Busta Rhymes is the best thing about many things. Busta Rhymes is one of the best things in Shaft 2000. I like Busta Rhymes as an actor. But there's no reason that should work.
No.
And it didn't. His charm is the only thing that held that together. Tyra Banks is not the star of a Halloween movie. But I was still excited about it. Why? Because I loved the character.
Yes.
And I loved the franchise. And even through Rob Zombie's movies, I was still excited. This, from the moment it was like, yeah, we're getting rid of everything again, and we're doing our own thing, and we're ignoring this, and we're doing that, I was already leery. And then the product I got wasn't worth that aggravation of having to explain to my idiot friends that it's the same fucking... It's not the same movie.
See, I might have turned on it earlier because I was, with the lead up to this, I was told that I was getting everything that I wanted. Like everything. Like brother and sister, gone. Sequel to Halloween 1 only. Everything gone. All the Thorn, the Rob Zombie, but I love the Rob Zombie. All of it gone, stripped down, basic. We're moving forward, and we're going to give you what you've wanted.
Right.
They didn't give
No.
like,
I didn't get any of the things I wanted. I got all the things that I already had thrown into a blender and poured onto a plate for me.
See, for me, it's the first time where we had one of these starting over points.
Right.
That actually felt like the slap in the face that the other ones I had always heard described by disgruntled fans.
Right, yes. Or maybe it's just that this time I'm the disgruntled fan who didn't like the change. I'm willing to accept that maybe it's me.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't for me. Now, having been on internet forums at the time, those other people didn't seem to be willing to accept that maybe this wasn't for them.
Yeah.
I think that's a step in the right direction, that I'm willing to admit that maybe this isn't for me, and the other stuff's still there, and I'm still happy to go watch that. I will own that forever, and I'm not upset that it's not canon, right? Because Halloween H2O erased Halloween 4 21 years ago. You know what I watch every year on Halloween?
At some point, Halloween 4.
Halloween fucking 4. And Halloween H2O. They're both in my list. I enjoy them both. Whether they exist in the same continuity or not doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
I rewatched this so that we could do this podcast. If it's not on HBO next year and I'm not bored, I don't think I'll watch it again. Well, no, I will, because next Halloween Kills comes out, and I'll want to watch this before I watch that. So they guarantee 2 more watchings out of me, basically.
Yes. Unless they do the brother-sister thing and you walk out.
Oh, and I will. Don't fuck with me. I will leave. I will leave.
I'll be taking my own vehicle to that showing.
It's a smart bet. So yes, ultimately, I think both of us agree this is not what we signed up for, and it's not the franchise we want moving forward. But that said, I'm still gonna give Halloween Kills a chance. 'Cause
Yeah.
maybe it goes in a new direction.
Yes.
Maybe this is just the awkward, stuttering first step in whatever they're doing. Or maybe it's just they're going to make these 3 movies and then the next one will be a new Halloween altogether.
Right.
They'll reboot again. Or maybe they'll just take a multiverse approach and be like, okay, well, on Earth 1, Laurie and Michael are not related. And that's what's happening over here. But over here on Earth Prime, the original franchise still exists as you remember it from 1995. And over here, the second version exists as you remember it from 1998.
Yes.
And you can pick and choose. And like maybe they'll do a movie with that Laurie. And then maybe they'll do a movie with Jamie Lloyd again.
Hey, I'm holding out for Rob Zombie's H2O.
Hey, I'm all for that. So yeah, I'm not giving up. I'm not vanishing from the fandom. But I'm not as enthralled as I was a year ago.
Yeah.
Which hurts a little. That said, it's Halloween. It's still the granddaddy of all horror movies. The original. And this can't tarnish that movie's legacy.
No.
And none of the sequels have been able to. And this movie has the best music since the first one.
Yes.
Like, John Carpenter knocked it out of the fucking park. Like, this was great.
Yeah.
So, it's a mixed bag. It's a very mixed bag. But that brings us to the end of, for now, Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare.
Yeah.
For the moment, I have been Matthew J. Blanchard.
I've been Patrick J. Blanchard.
We have been the guys who pay the late fee so that you don't have to. And we will see you right back here for another edition of Everyone's Entitled to One Good Scare in roughly
1 year.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
We've been podcasting to death tonight.
You don't know what death is.